RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderHD, BlenderHD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Wednesday, November 6th. We'll be taking a first look at the Week 10 NFL DFS slate on DraftKings. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got NBA tonight, so feel free to tune into Grinders Live and Crunch Time later today on the channel. But today, got Alex Santi in Week 10 NFL DFS. More wide receivers that hit the wide receivers are they're going down. They're going down in flames like last week. But we do have a smaller slate, if you want to call it a smaller slate. 10 games is still a big slate, but not as long, not as big as it is in the past. So we still got a bunch of teams with decent totals. We got initial projections up. I'll throw them up on the screen right now in lineup HQ. Although obviously things can change. We got the injury reports. And I don't. Is there anything that we're Alex? Is there anything that we're completely looking at other than maybe like that? What's going on in Dallas? Obviously, Dak Prescott going on IR. I'm looking at our current projections. It doesn't seem like. We have to see what's going on with the Washington running back situation. There probably is some
running back
issues
is a
in
big one.
Day. I don't think anything that's like so major. Oh, I guess Philadelphia to see about AJ Brown. I guess that's it.
I was gonna say, so AJ Brown is one thing. Chris Olave's face planting on the turf again.
Yeah, do you see him start? I mean, he was hospitalized with a concussion. I don't think he hasn't played all this week.
No, but we're when we look into the slate and at this point in time, because we don't have like the big obvious injury news, we're going to be looking to find a 3K wide receiver. We might have to look for a sub 3K tight end. The way that the slate looks at this moment on Wednesday morning. So sorry, my cat is scratching.
Well, I don't know about that 3K tight end because it looks like
it's
I don't
tough.
know.
It's rough out there. It's rough out there.
The price is fairly efficient, Alex.
It is. It's very efficient. So we're not talking about tight end yet, but there's. I think how much is? Okay. Let me actually look at tight end if I'm going to say this.
Well, the problem
Juwan Johnson is $3,300. If we want to I'll punt the tight end for the Saints tight end because they got to get a passing touchdown somewhere. Taysom Hill is $4,000, So I don't know what to do with the Saints. And then on the other side of the Saints game, again, we're diving deep into injuries here because there aren't surface level obvious stuff that's going to give us obvious value.
Right, Drake London, right? The hip.
Drake London, the hip pointer, and then what does that do for Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts? Does the Lattimore trade matter? I don't know. That's something to if you get really into the cornerback stuff, when there's only one wide receiver there, does that start to matter? Maybe Darnell Mooney gets an easier path to getting there. Maybe Kyle Pitts gets an easier path to getting there.
How about Ray? We got Ray, Alex. Ray McLeod.
Yeah, Ray's longest catch is 22 yards. So I struggle with that. But, hey, he could get the short stuff. He could get us touchdowns worth of receptions, right? Sometimes with these guys, he's, $4,300? He's always in that $4,300 range. And we'll get there with wide receiver. But I don't think he's a dumb play because he can get 6 catches, 80 yards. It's tough to find a touchdown with him. He's a short guy, right? Ray McLeod? Am I wrong about this? Yeah. So he's not going to get, some big deep. He doesn't get the deep balls. So you're going to have to get the volume from him. But he's playable. He's playable when we get there. I think we might need someone cheaper. I don't know who we're going to get cheaper, but I think we might need someone cheaper in that WR3 slot. I just don't know who it is. This is where I go to. I think we're going to have to true punt tight end.
I'm not sure because we got Kelsey there at 6K. So, we may have to find savings elsewhere. Let's take a look at quarterback, Alex. The top options, price-wise and projection-wise, Jalen Hurts, 7,800 against Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jaden Daniels, 7,500 against Pittsburgh. Josh Allen, 7,700 against Indianapolis. Out of these three, I'd probably rank them Hurts, Allen, Daniels.
Agreed.
I mean, I think Daniels has a solid floor, but I typically don't want to attack the Steelers' defense. The issue
Totally
here,
agree.
Alex, is that I'd love to play one of these quarterbacks, but
We can't
we're
afford
talking
it.
about punting a tight end and finding a 3K wide receiver. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm looking at more guys like Sam Darnold at 6,200 against the
Yes.
Jaguars. And I'm not opposed, even though I don't want to pick on the Titans, to if I want to go even cheaper, Herbert at 5,200 with the Chargers throwing a lot more than they have been earlier this season. I don't mind that, but maybe Kyler Murray 6,300 against the Jets. I mean, I feel like Minnesota is one of the highest implied totals, right? Buffalo 25.25, Minnesota 25.5. Kansas City is close to 25. Philadelphia 24.5. But I mean, Washington has a 24.25 implied team total, so maybe I shouldn't necessarily poo-poo Jaden Daniels if I had to choose between the 7K level quarterbacks. The question, Alex, is for like cash games, I'm not sure if you could pay 7K for a quarterback and make a
I don't
lineup.
think you can pay 7. I think we can barely the way lineup construction looks at this moment. I think it isn't easy to jam in Sam Darnold with 6,200 when you really start filling in the slots. And I think it's good that you brought up Justin Herbert because he was the next guy that I think Jalen Hurts is that guy over 7K, maybe the best guy to play in cash over 6,500. That next kind of mid-tier around 6K-ish is Sam Darnold. And then under 6K, if we have to go cheaper, I looked at Herbert. The other one, I don't know if I don't think I would spend the $400 extra if I could just go to Herbert for 5,200, but Caleb Williams isn't the dumbest thing in the world.
That range of outcomes. I mean, sure, GPP
It's a wide range of
sure.
outcomes. It's a huge range of
Right, very wide.
outcomes.
I thought you were going to mention Trevor Lawrence at 5,400. At least Jacksonville has a 21.5 implied total. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of Joe Flacco against Buffalo's defense.
No.
I think I'm much more likely. I mean, the Chargers, their team total is 22.75, and the Titans are on offense are not good. So I'd much rather play a guy that's on a team that's favored by nearly a touchdown at home than like Trevor Lawrence against Minnesota, even though he's at home with a 21.5 total. But I still think, like, if I could get to Darnold in the mid-range, I'll probably play Darnold. And if there's value, then we can start talking about Hurts. Probably I list Hurts, then Allen, and Daniels, but boy, we're going to get into the other skill positions. And
yeah, the only two quarterbacks I checked off taking a first look, the only two quarterbacks I checked off were Darnold and Herbert. Just I really don't see another path toward another quarterback.
Running back. Obviously, we got, injury reports. We know we got Eckler last moment, last week at a cheap price. The news here at running back is that looks like Christian McCaffrey is going to get ready to come back and play. 8K. San Francisco has the highest implied team total at 28. I'm not necessarily convinced that he's going to come back and get 95% of the snaps. So I'm assuming that's why the projection is not, through the roof. I mean, normal Christian McCaffrey would be a $9,500 running back. Yes. I don't think this is normal Christian McCaffrey, at least this week. Although I wouldn't be opposed to playing him in GPPs. I'm looking more in this, like, Aaron Jones at 6,700, DeAndre Swift at 6,500, James Conner at 6,500. And then, like, guys in the 7K range are Hall and Bijan. But we're going to get back into the issue of Kamara at 8,100 against Atlanta. I'd love to do when, they have, like, no one to throw the ball to. And I have no problem taking the Falcons. But it's hard to play it. It's hard to play three of these. I mean, even if you're playing like Hall, Jones, and Swift or something like that, it's still tight. You still have to find some wide receiver value that at this moment doesn't exist. What are your thoughts at running back here? Because we have Breece Hall right now projected as the slight best. Hall and Robinson as the slighter better values. I feel more comfortable with Aaron Jones the way that Chandler has been essentially just phased completely out of the offense.
Bigger picture, I was going to ask you. I think there's only one guy on the entire slate over 6,700 is okay. So Jones is 6,700, over 6,700 that I feel like I really want to play him, and he's not a running back. So I think James Conner is 60. Is he 65?
Yeah.
Yeah. James Conner is 65. That's totally fine. I mean, Denver's a tough defense, but Kareem Hunt is getting some usage. I don't think it's crazy that that guy can stumble into 2 touchdowns any given week, just because of what they do, how they use him, and against a tough defense. We'll talk about Kansas City a little more with when we get to the passing game. But if Denver makes it tough to pass, they're going to give Hunt the ball close to the goal line. But that's it in that 6K. I mean, we should talk about Austin Eckler, and we shouldn't just totally ignore it.
Right. I mean,
if he's the guy,
currently have Brian Robinson in, so they both.
But he's not
poorly. But if he's not in, Austin Eckler 5,800.
It's a no-brainer. The thing is, he isn't 5,300 anymore. He's 5,800. And as things look right now, that $500 is the difference between Sam Darnold and Justin Herbert. And there's a big difference between the two in terms of projections right now. It's the difference between playing, a high 6K wide receiver and forcing yourself to another 6K wide receiver. It's the difference between punting tight end or playing, a $3,300, $3,500 tight end. So it makes a big difference as to whether what Austin Eckler, we jam him in for cash, but it's going to impact how we save elsewhere because we're not getting massive savings with him.
I feel like if I had a choice between Hall, Robinson, and Kamara in this range, if I could find the money to get the Kamara, I mean, I'm not convinced that the Jets are a good team, right? And we've seen at times where they'll bring in Braylon Allen,
yeah,
right. Then Bijan, I prefer Bijan over Hall, even though Algiers also in the backfield, but Atlanta is favored against the Saints in the Superdome, and they give the high-quality touches to Bijan. But I mean, I'm making a case for Hall and Robinson, but with no Olave, I mean, Kamara, essentially is like the entire offense. We saw the last game that they're just with Carr, especially with Carr back, that he may get vultured on the goal line with some Taysom stuff. But I mean, he could get, out of all these running backs, I'm a lot more confident in who gets the most touches. I think Kamara gets the most. I mean, Kamara could touch the ball 32 times in this game.
He could touch, because he's going to get 8 to 10 targets. So he doesn't need to score a touchdown. This is similar to where we'll get to Justin Jefferson. Alvin Kamara, like these are guys who don't need to score a touchdown to, quote, get there in terms of even surpassing value because they can get a touchdown's worth of receptions just in the catches in a PPR format.
If you had to choose between the two, I know we haven't gotten to wide receiver. I feel like I'd rather play Kamara than Jefferson. I think
for cash, I would rather play. Yeah, for cash, it's Kamara over Jefferson. We're gonna find a way when value opens up to get both of them in, though. I think when value opens up. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Really, I don't know.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think we're gonna have to force ourselves into the 6K range with wide receivers the way it's looking right now.
Okay, let's take a look.
And you mentioned McCaffrey. Something that's going to be tempting, I think, with McCaffrey is obviously what McCaffrey can do, the fact that he is underpriced for what he can do, and then there'll be the question of what he will do. If San Francisco decides to put him out there 90% of the time, it would shock no one because San Francisco isn't dominating the run game like a normal Shanahan offense does, and they're not winning football games at the rate that they have in the past. It wouldn't be surprising. This is more of a GPP call with McCaffrey than cash. But it shouldn't be a surprise if they are just desperate for wins and just give them the ball a lot.
Well, let's take a look at wide receiver. Obviously, Jefferson's up there at 8,800. If AJ Brown doesn't play, Devonta Smith is 7,800. So it's not like you're getting that huge of a discount. Although I would love to play him against the Cowboys. But I feel like it's going to be much more likely that I'm going to be playing 3 guys like kind of 6,200. I mean, you got Josh Downs 6,200 against Buffalo. You got Ladd McConkey 5,900 against Tennessee. You got Juwan Jennings 5,100 with no Ayuk there. Okay, I mean none of this excites me, right? DeAndre Hopkins 5,300 against the Broncos. We saw the Chiefs. Basically it's the Kelsey and Hopkins show. The last game. And then you got guys like Ray McLeod at 4,300 if London doesn't play. You got Noah Brown, 4,300. I think the floor is low there. Ridley, 5,700. Sutton, 5,600. Like, I'm really not excited by any. None of this excites me, but it feels like if you're going in with like a Downs, Hopkins, McConkey type of lineup, that's kind of the way you have to build a lineup in order to fit.
That's it. That's actually what I have plugged in right now as a dummy.
Right. It just comes down to price. I mean,
yeah.
Like when we talk about, will we be able to fit in Kamara and Jefferson together? And I think you're nuts that we'll be able to. Dude, I don't even. It's hard to find one of them.
Building right now. Even with a true punt $2,500 tight end and a $2,500 defense, I am about $1,700 short to get Jefferson in with Kamara. So lineup construction is going to be difficult on that level. But I think DeAndre Hopkins he's $700 cheaper than Kelsey. One of those two, I think you're right. It's the Kelsey and Hopkins show. It's a rare sight to see wide receivers get traded and just out of the gate make huge impacts. You got to learn the playbook. You got to get some chemistry with the quarterback, blah, 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 blah. This is DeAndre Hopkins with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes knows who's best at catching the ball, and Patrick Mahomes is getting him the ball. And I'm fine with trusting that for $5,300. Now, if they had him priced up to $6,800, I would have that skepticism midseason acquisition. It's a new fit. Maybe they run the ball more. $5,300 cash. I'm just putting in DeAndre Hopkins. Josh Downs, we've seen with Joe Flacco, especially. First, Josh Downs is he leading the team in targets? I think he is, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen with Joe Flacco's going to him very often. He's going to him, sometimes like 8, 9. Has he gotten 10 targets? He had a 12 target game against Jacksonville. But yeah, I mean, he's a volume guy. The touchdown equity is lower, but again, we're going to get for 6,200, we're going to get touchdowns worth of receptions and a shot at 80 to 90 yards. I like the Josh Downs call a lot.
It's a tight slate where the cheap wide receiver value if nothing changes is like the Patriots receivers, right?
Well, they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
Right. Demario Douglas at 4,400. It's like, I get to save some money. And I don't mind Demario Douglas at 3,500, right? Like I don't mind taking a shot at Kayshon Boutte. Oh, he's 35. I mean, dude, are we gonna have to play Kayshon Boutte and his 3 targets and just hope for the best? And it is really tight. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to play Patriots wide receivers in my cash lineup. I mean, their team total is 16.5.
If London's out, we get bailed out even Darnell Mooney is not 6K anymore. He's 65.
Right.
And he was like 53, right? A couple weeks ago, wasn't he? 53, 5,500. He got a boost. So they're boosts across the board here. We don't have the value yet, but if the London news comes out, then we find a way to make the Hopkins Kamara with Eckler with Downs, Hopkins, Mooney does work. Tight end gets ugly, but it does work in terms of lineup construction with Darnold in there. So
you're gonna have to figure. I mean, basically for lineup construction, you have to figure out where to punt, and typically tight end is the puntable position where you'll play.
There is opportunity cost to tight end this week, though.
Right. So Disley is 3,100, Calcaterra 3,500, right? These are the cheap guys. You got the Ertzes and the Taysums. They're a little bit Hunter Henry. They're not total punts. But then obviously K. Dotton they priced up to 5,500 now. He's no longer a cheap tight end. But Kelsey is 6K. If Kelsey was wide receiver eligible, I mean, Alex, you would easily play Travis Kelsey over any of the 6K wide receivers than Josh Downs at 6,200 if he was wide receiver eligible. So really, it's a positional scare. It's a thing where the best value from a receiving standpoint and probably even a running back standpoint, like if you had a choice in the flex to play 6K Kelsey or DeAndre Swift, or one of these like 64, 63, maybe you could only get up to 6,500. I still may choose Kelsey in the flex spot.
I was going to say, then do you flex a punt tight end, or you use Kelsey as your true flex because he's basically a wide receiver, and you punt the tight end position. I'm building with that right now, and it totally works. You can fit in Darnell Mooney. Because you can fit in Mooney, Downs, and Hopkins with Kamara and Kelsey.
You may have to do this slate with no value because, truthfully, like you take a look at someone like Greg Calcaterra. Like, he doesn't excite me, but at 3,500, I'd rather play Calcaterra than play Keyshawn Boutte, than play no one in the wide receivers. Like, I'd rather play these 3K level tight ends. I'd rather play Taysom Hill at 4K.
Taysom Hill at 4K, I was going to say. Taysom Hill at 4K, Jawan Johnson 3,300, Zach Ertz 3,800. Like, I'd rather play them than any of those cheap wide receivers. I mean, Demario Douglas is 4,400. That's kind of that's a microcosm. We were talking about correlation in the real world. This is something that has bled over to Demario Douglas being $4,400.
So maybe it is a 2 tight end week in cash games on DraftKings.
Because at this point, I'm just building on the side here, locking things in, seeing how lineup construction works. Okay, you've got Will Dissly in there. I plugged in. So I plugged in Eckler, Kamara, Mooney, Downs, Hopkins, Kelsey, Jawan Johnson with Sam Darnold, and you punt the defense. I mean, when I say punt defense, we're not spending $3,500 in defense in cash. Not this week. Not with the lack of value we have now. We're finding the cheapest defense that we can pallet.
Right. Our current optimal right now, obviously, it's Wednesday early projections. They don't really super early all that much. Still has a double tight end with Will Dissly. Right.
Okay.
Right. So you hear Darnold, Jones, Hall, Hopkins, McConkey, Downs, Kelsey, Dissly, Bears. And if you want to mix this around a little bit, let's say we get someone like let's say we get someone like McLeod. Right. That, London is out and we play McLeod at 4,300. His projection will come up enough where at 4,300, he will be of decent value. Decent. Won't be like free square at anywhere close, but he will project better than Demario Douglas. That's what we're looking at.
Yes.
So if we plug in McLeod there, right? And we can get up to Jefferson if you play Noah Brown. Right.
And we can save on defense and upgrade Hall to Kamara. This is the path to Kamara. And
right. Let's go to defense and let's spend as little as possible, like the Broncos defense, right? Or the Jaguars defense.
Patriots are 25. Patriots against Caleb Williams. I mean, it's a wide range of outcomes, but Caleb Williams gives you a 25-point upside,
right.
If he throws it away and he takes a bunch of sacks. Because that's what he does. The guy takes a lot of sacks and he can gunsling. So hey, why not 2,500?
I'm gonna get rid of Dissly and see what happens here. So Calcaterra,
okay,
right? You got Devontae Adams in here. I'm not a big fan of that.
So are you looking at the blitz? No, you're looking at.
No, I'm looking at the RG projections only.
Yeah, I am. I think that the way they order the top right now of Hall, Bijan, Kamara, Saquon, I think by the end of the week we might see Kamara a little bit ahead of Hall, with Barkley, Hall, Bijan closer together. Because right now Chris Olave is still projected.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't look at the blitz yet because we have the usage adjustment page. Cardi is not adjusted the usage, so
yeah.
This is
Well,
all
Chris,
like algorithmically generated projections that have no usage adjustments. That's why I'm looking at the
yeah,
RG ones that Jamino has
okay,
already,
yeah,
has
I see a
already
lot.
smoothed
Okay,
out at least
Olave is
like
out.
right.
He's scooped out Olave. Okay.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, look at that New Orleans game. We got a tight game in the dome. I mean, someone's got to get the ball. It's just like this is where the Kamara thing. Like I'm gonna find the $300 or the $500 at defense or tight end, or we can call that tight end a punt flex, whatever you want to call it, to go from Hall to Kamara for cash, because that ball is going to go there. We don't know how many balls are going to go to Brees Hall. We know how many balls are going to go to Alvin Kamara.
Right. Well, currently in the RG projections, the Bears project as the best defense at 3K. Like I think they project as right now is the best raw point defense.
They do
More so than the Chargers.
Yeah.
At 3K. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, when you're facing Drake May.
It does make sense.
Right.
It does make sense.
But also
weapons.
the opposite, what you said before, makes sense also. When you're facing Caleb Williams, that's also a good defense to target.
Yeah. I mean, look, the floor probably with the Patriots is probably a solid like 5 points. I mean, they give up maybe 20 points, but they're going to get sacks. Even if Caleb Williams doesn't throw an interception, he's going to get sacked a lot. The guy just takes a lot of sacks right now. It's going to take a year or two for him to stop taking so many sacks. But the ceiling is 2 interceptions and a low-scoring game with the 4, 5, 6 sacks. So there's a wide range of outcomes with the Patriots. I think the floor is safe for 2,500.
I'm going to switch over to FanDuel because sometimes
Okay.
we don't talk about FanDuel, but we'll
Let's
cover
take a look at it
briefly, right? Just go through position by position. Typically, you're paying up on FanDuel for quarterback.
Yes.
Rather than pay down. But, I mean, Jalen Hurts, 9,400. I'd love to play him. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to fit him in. But I think the gap between Hurts and Daniels is large enough, that 1,000 gap. Like, Allen's 9,200, but Jaden Daniels is 8,400. I think I'm much more likely, because Jaden Daniels is 8,400, Sam Darnold is 7,800. That's only a $600 gap. Right, as opposed to 13 on DraftKings. So, yeah, I'm getting the sense that Jaden Daniels is going to be my cash game FanDuel quarterback as of now. If I were to pay all the way down, I mean Herbert's 6,900.
Are we going to play Justin Herbert this weekend in cash on both sites? I think we're going to play Justin Herbert in cash on both sites because, yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert can throw the ball. We forget about him. We've forgotten about him this year because he doesn't have wide receiver weapons, right? That's a big thing. He doesn't have Keenan Allen anymore. He doesn't have Mike Williams was a shell of himself at the end anyway, but he doesn't have the old Mike Williams anymore. Tennessee is bad. Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. Like there are a lot of arguments against Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert has a 300-yard arm, like right? Because we've seen this guy have really big weeks. If the Chargers defense is not absolutely elite, he could keep throwing the ball and he could have a shot at 275 yards. I don't know if he's a 300-yard guy. I don't know if we have a 300-yard guy this week. Do we? I don't know if we have a 300-yard guy because even Sam Darnold has not thrown 300 yards yet this season. I think as high as like 290. The thing with Sam Darnold is he can get you 3-4 touchdowns.
Right.
That's what we're playing Sam Darnold for. We're playing him for 3 or 4 touchdowns. He's not going to run. He's not going to run, but he can get you 3-4 touchdown passes.
Running back on FanDuel. Let me reset the Austin Eckler projection to back to where. I mean, dude, when Demario Douglas is in the optimal on FanDuel, also, I mean, we're gonna have problems there also. I mean, I typically prioritize running backs on FanDuel since half PPR.
Yeah,
and you care a lot more about touchdowns.
Agreed.
I think the difference on FanDuel is that I think J.K. Dobbins is a lot more playable on FanDuel, price wise. I think you're more likely to play Aaron Jones on DraftKings and not on FanDuel. And I mean, like they priced up like Connor 7,600, Swift is 7,700. There's no like cheap running back as of now that you could slot in here. And I think at wide receiver, you probably I think the construction of your FanDuel lineup as of right now is going to look quite similar to the DraftKings lineup, other than you're paying up at quarterback. Because I'm not sure if there's I don't think you get to Justin Jefferson on FanDuel either.
I don't think you get to Justin Jefferson at all, because I think we were talking about Kamara, and just like the volume is just, it's so guaranteed. I hate to use the word guaranteed, but it just feels so high that I could swap out Bijan for Kamara. Like, I mean, what if we lock in Kamara and see what the optimal spits out?
I mean, we got Jaden Daniels,
Noah
Dobbins,
Brown.
Kamara. This isn't that bad of a lineup. You get Hall, and you
No.
have to play like Noah Brown at 5,300.
You have to play Noah Brown
as like a wide receiver.
What if
with Hopkins and McConkey?
And what if we downgrade Jaden Daniels to Sam Darnold?
Well, you don't get much. I if anything, I would talk about Herbert.
Well, it's the difference. We can go down to Herbert too. Well, I was going to say I just plugged in Darnold, and we get Calvin Ridley in that wide receiver 3 spot, which finally we get to someone who can put a taste in our mouth, of some sort.
Right. So yeah. This is something that would be playable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it feels
Colts defense.
This feels like a complete cash lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you went back 3 or 4 years or something like that, you'd be like, wow, you get to play Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kamara and Kelsey in your line. How were you able to? DeAndre Hopkins would be like a $9K player, an $8,500 player. Ridley would be a $7,600
$75. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, J.K. Dobbins would be a $4,800 running back, though. That would be a different thing.
J.K. Dobbins would be, yeah. Well, J.K. Dobbins used to never get the ball. But, Ladd McConkey is a guy, it's a really good FanDuel play because he gets those end zone targets. I think he's a good play on both sites to get like anywhere from 5 to 8 catches, but he gets those end zone targets from Jaden Daniels. He's definitely very trusted to get those end zone
He's just not sexy. Ladd McConkey.
He's not sexy.
Right.
He's not going to catch 12 balls.
I put in the same bucket, Alex, as like Jacoby Myers, right? Like the guys that are like, they're there. They'll probably go like 6 for 60, and maybe they'll score a touchdown. They score between 12 and 18 points a lot of the time, and that's why you play them in cash games. But typically, they're not the ceiling people.
I mean, that's an interesting name you brought up. The first name that I was thinking of Jordan Addison with a quarterback who throws in the ball more.
No, McConkey and Addison are not comparable.
I'm just saying,
McConkey is like a possession. I would consider Ladd McConkey more like Drake London. Closer to that.
Okay. Drake London gets the ball a lot more. Drake London.
Yeah, but Addison's more of a like his ADOT is much larger. Jordan
I'm saying no. I'm talking about. Oh no. I'm talking about like what we can think of in terms of fantasy points.
Oh, okay.
The actual end points when we end the week. If we swapped out Terry McLaurin and Jordan Addison, I think we would see Jordan Addison get that extra touchdown equity, but he wouldn't get 15 catches in a game.
Right. So it looks like we're not even getting up to Justin Jefferson as of 9,500 on FanDuel. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to fit that in. Because the problem is on FanDuel is that as of right now, we don't have a running back like under 7K that's playable. Right? Like we don't a lot of times on FanDuel, you're able to get up to some decent wide receiver plays because you get a Chase Brown at 5,800 or something, or Eckler or some running back that's walking into a role and he has a touchdown prop of like minus 120, 130, something where it's good enough for FanDuel that you can just plug it in. As of right now,
Eckler's only $500. We didn't really talk about him, but Eckler's only $500 cheaper than J.K. Dobbins, and J.K. Dobbins is a huge favorite.
Right.
You play J.K. Dobbins.
Yes. It's possible you play both Eckler and Dobbins if Brian Robinson doesn't play.
That is a path toward Justin Jefferson, but then you really have to get ugly with that wide receiver 3 slot again.
Right. So let's say we put in both Dobbins and Eckler. I mean, you're playing Darnold. He's still going down the middle as of right now.
Yeah.
Hopkins, McConkey, Devontae Adams, Kelsey, Hall. Like, dude.
The path to Jefferson, you have to deviate so much from the optimal at this point to get to Justin Jefferson that it's not worth it.
But all I can tell you,
you got to lock in like 4 guys to get to Justin Jefferson.
On both sites, as of right now, with our projections, our initial projections, that's all that matters. I feel very uncomfortable playing 2 New York Jets in my cash game line.
I'm not comfortable playing 1 New York Jet in my
cash line. Well, I was going to say that. I'm not comfortable playing 1, let alone 2.
Yeah. I enjoy Breece Hall's talent. I very much do. I like that, and we've talked about this in the past. Aaron Rodgers is very conscious of his completion percentage. He will dump it down to Breece Hall, and that's where Breece Hall gets some extra opportunity. Breece Hall has a cap, though. He's got a ceiling on his usage in terms of the running game. I'm actually calling plays for him to run the ball. This is not a 25, 30 carry guy. And he's priced like Derrick Henry.
So anything else on the slate as we take it says midweek update. We take a first look, midweek update. I think we covered everything that we could, as of right now, and what we can expect. But as usual, by Saturday, I mean, everything could change. Next thing you know, people are going to watch this, 3 days later and laugh at us in the comments. Someone's going to watch this on Saturday and go, how can you not play Jefferson and Kamara together? We have this $3,200 guy and this $5,400 running back and this other. You get a choice between this $5,400 running back or this $5,200 running back, and then it's like, yeah, but as of right now, I mean, really, dude, 11:30 in the morning on Sunday. That's when we got the Eckler, Brian Robinson, inactive. Stuff happens. I just don't know where it happens yet in this game. But you can get all of our projections, updated projections, ownership, everything here. You see lineup HQ on the screen. Sim Labs. If you just want Sim Labs and just our premium content, written content, and our consensus value rankings, stuff like that, and Sim Labs for all 4 major sports. So you get football, you get basketball, you get golf, you get baseball. Obviously, it's not on now. That's a combo light package. That's only $39.99. So you don't have to get the whole big combo premium. You get everything, and you could gorge yourself and all the tools and stuff we have. We got the statistical projections in our props and pick'em package. So if you don't even want to play DFS and just bet our projections, $39.99 for the props and pick'em package as well. So we have little modules. You don't have to just get combo premium, but I would suggest you do. Click on that link in the description. Get $40 off your first month. Alex, what do you got coming up this week?
Just prize pick stuff. Something we didn't touch on with FanDuel. They include that Sunday night game. Some lion is going to mess everything up for us, and I don't know which one it's going to be. But a lion is going to make me not sweep my cash games. I'm probably not going to play a lion in my cash games on FanDuel, but I feel like I have a capped ceiling in my FanDuel cash games because Jahmyr Gibbs is going to score 2 touchdowns, or Jared Goff is going to throw 3 touchdowns, or Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to catch 18 balls with a touch. Like, something's going to happen there, or Dave Montgomery is going to score 2 I don't know. I just don't know which one it's going to be. But someone's going to mess me up and stop me from sweeping my cash games. I'm not recommending a lion. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if a lion caps your ceiling.
Right. Okay, hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me those tummy thumbs. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. I'll be on tomorrow with Cardi to talk about props and pick 'em, even though, like, I think the thumbnail for this was props and pick 'em. I think they're going to change that to, whatever. The first look, something, whatever, week 10, something or not. But props and pick 'em will be tomorrow with Cardi, with the updated Blitz projections. So you'll know that they're Blitz approved. So I'll see you then. And then Bobby Gomes will be on Friday for some GPP strategy, because I'm here for you on weekdays, Monday, not Monday anymore, but Tuesday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.
Buddy, get up.